like and subscribe, and leave a comment below. Beyond Antarctica, Chapter 31. The ground shook violently once more, the tremors so intense that it felt as if the entire facility was on the verge of collapsing. The walls groaned under the strain, and dust fell from above as the structure quivered. The interface flickered in and out as the hologram stuttered, its image jittering erratically from posture to posture before it finally stabilized. Structural integrity compromised, it announced. Multiple sections of the facility have been affected. Reports are coming in now. The figure shifted, projecting a map of the facility that hovered in the air like a ghostly apparition. The map resembled an intricate flower, with the stem or central chamber extending deep underground, surrounded by multiple petal-like chambers, each isolated from the others. The central chamber, with its massive rings, held the core of the computer network, the heart of hope. But now, several sections of the facility were blinking ominously, with their fates uncertain. These sections are damaged and will be sealed off, the AI continued. Power will be cut to ensure the safety of the rest of humanity. The air grew heavy with tension as Destin turned to Jackson, with confusion etched into his features. Shouldn't we send the maintenance class at least to evaluate the damage? His voice quivered slightly, betraying the fear that simmered just beneath the surface. Jackson replied, "Yes, they should look at it first. Now you can see for yourself how it's not acting in our best interests," as a voice rang out in the background. "See what we're dealing with here. It's a computer after all. It doesn't think like we do. It calculates, it assesses, but it doesn't feel." Kim pushed past her father and continued speaking with her voice holding a sharp edge. "It's not your mother or parent. It's not even a good guardian." Her words were a slap in the face, leaving the others stunned with their eyes widening in shock. Jackson, with his confusion deepening, asked the question, "Mother, what, may I ask, is that?" Kim glanced at her father, then at the crew, before turning back to them, with her eyes filled with sorrow. "Yes, I forgot. You're born in a lab. You don't understand what it means to have someone who actually cares about you, who raises you, guiding you as you grow. You simply just don't know what you're missing." Her words struck a chord, the truth of them reverberating through the room like the aftershocks from a lightning bolt between two mountains. The weight of what she was saying pressed down on the room, leaving everyone struggling to breathe, or to even think. Jackson, for the first time, looked unsure, his confidence shaken by the realization of what they had lost, what they had never even known. What else could have been stolen from them in the name of survival? He pondered for a moment. Kim turned her attention to the flickering map of the facility, with her mind racing with the possibilities. "I say we can save these sections by sending the maintenance crew to repair them, with the aid of all class groups in those areas. Override all protocols standing in the way of saving these humans. By doing so, we ensure that humanity's chances of survival increase." The map flickered, the blinking locations now highlighted in ominous red circles. The hologram reappeared, smaller this time, beside the map, pointing to the locations with a dispassionate gesture. "These locations should not have failed," it stated. "Repair will result in future failure, sealing the fate of humanity in these sections in the long term." Todd furrowed his brow in confusion. "Wait, why will it fail again?" The hologram hesitated, with its image flickering as if struggling with the answer. "The structural integrity has been weakened," it finally admitted. Todd's mind raced as he pieced together the puzzle. "Is it the constant shaking from the volcano that weakened it?" he asked. The hologram flickered again. "The facility was built to withstand 10 times what the volcanic simulator can output." Bob scoffed, with his voice laced with sarcasm. "But yet here we are." A sudden burst of laughter erupted from John, startling everyone in the room, a sound that didn't belong in such a dire situation. Grasping for a breath, he then laughed even harder, almost hysterically, as everyone turned to him, with confusion etched on their faces. "Hey!" John called out, still chuckling as if he were in on some cosmic joke that no one else understood. "How many tunnels have been dug in the name of expanding Hope's memory and capabilities?" The interface hologram flickered out, the map vanishing with it, leaving only darkness in its wake. The silence that followed was oppressive, a void that seemed to stretch on forever. Then, without warning, a new map appeared, this time of the island's extensive mining tunnels. The AI's voice returned. The majority of the island, miles deep, has been excavated. Most tunnels have been refilled with debris from subsequent digs to prevent collapses. John's tone turned serious, his earlier mirth replaced with a grim stare. Yes, collapses. But after digging so many tunnels for so long, all around your facility, I'd suggest you're causing the foundations of the island to settle. In other words, you're no longer mounted inside solid rock, but yet sit inside a sandy prison. Funny how time and hope has changed your solid foundation into the ever-shifting sands of time. What was once a secure location is now sitting on rubble. Each time you set off your toy volcano, shaking the island, it wreaks havoc on the tunnel system. It's only a matter of time before this entire structure meets the same fate as those sections. The room fell into a stunned silence. The implications were terrifying. The very foundation of their existence, the bedrock upon which they had built their lives, was crumbling beneath their feet. The irony was not lost on anyone. Hope, the AI designed to protect humanity, was inadvertently engineering its downfall. The AI flickered again as it processed the new information. Evaluating, scan complete, alert, system shutdown initiated, memory purge in progress. Then the hologram blinked back to life, clearer and more focused than before. System purged of all corrupt data, scan on all levels complete. Data suggests bedrock foundation destabilized, structural integrity compromised, complete failure imminent. Earthquakes from the volcano must cease. The superstitious giants will stop bringing food to the cave, and the city cannot provide for itself. It flickers once and says, with time and new data, new evaluations, new conclusions found, new answer needed, new path found. Implementing, hold please. A new path is needed to ensure humanity's survival. Hope must be abandoned. Hope systems turn to basic mode only. The remaining facility's inhabitants will be retrained to live on the surface. The facility can no longer sustain its fundamental objectives. Kim's heart sank at the implications. Wait, you're just going to throw these children out topside with just some basic training? The AI hologram responded with a cold detachment. The protocols are in place, implementing them. Kim's frustration boiled over, her voice rising with anger. Use some of your silver probes that fly through the sky and evaluate the situation topside. You will see why that is a bad idea. They will need more than basic training. The AI hesitated, and it flickered, and as the distortion passed through its holographic form, it responded, I possess no such vehicles to command, no ground or air probes. We have only what's in the base, like the two sister facilities on the other islands. John's eyes widened at the revelation, with a new piece of the puzzle falling into place. Other islands? He asked. Yes, the AI confirmed. There are 3 facilities on 3 islands in this chain. Kim's mind exploded as she tried to comprehend the magnitude of what the AI was revealing. You don't have silver balls or probes that fly the skies? She asked once more. The AI's response was measured, almost condescending. You make reference to the ancients, the ones before our civilization, who possessed great technology. You refer to their eyes in the sky. They never seemed to do more than watch and leave. There were many reports before humanity went underground. The sightings increased more and more until they suddenly stopped a year before this civilization abandoned the surface world. The realization that these people were not the great builders, the ancient ones they were searching for, filled Kim with an uneasy feeling. Even though they're not the great builders, she had wished would bring humanity a great new future revealing the truths of the past. She did understand that they still had met a new civilization, one that they had helped bring a new truth to, and they had uncovered a truth that could change everything, a truth that had the power to reshape their understanding of the world and their place within it. But that change came with the threat of destruction, a destruction that was already in motion, set in place by the very force that was supposed to protect them. The ground quaked beneath their feet once more, sending a cascade of dust and debris raining down. with the walls cracking, sending shrill cries echoing through the unstable corridors like the wails of a dying beast. Jackson steadied himself against a nearby console, with his gaze fixed firmly on Destin. "Get your people in here now," he commanded. "It's not safe in the halls anymore." Destin hesitated, his brow furrowing as he assessed the situation. "Hold on," he replied cautiously. "I haven't decided what needs to be done here. This is all unprecedented." Sensing the mounting resistance, Kim stepped forward with her eyes blazing with conviction. She closed the distance between herself and Destin, her posture firm yet compassionate. "Look, I know you're scared, but you and your people have a new future to look forward to," she began. "But the people in this room need to step up and take on the responsibilities of leadership for everyone in this facility. They need guidance, support, someone to teach them how to survive in a world they've never known. They need people like you to look up to learn from, to admire." Destin recoiled slightly, with an expression of disgust flickering across his face as he took a deliberate step back. His eyes darted over Kim, lingering with a hint of repulsion. Kim noticed the shift immediately, with her eyebrows knitting together in confusion. Never has she ever been treated in such a way. "What?" she asked, with frustration creeping into her tone. "Don't you want to be free, to live your life on your own terms, to experience everything you've been denied and live as long as you were meant to?" Destin continued to back away, with his hand coming up to pinch his nose as if warding off a foul stench, his face contorting as he gagged slightly, with a bit of bile rising to his throat, resting in his mouth. Turning his head, he spat onto the floor, trying to rid himself of the taste. "I don't think I want to get old, not if it means walking around rotting like you people are." A stunned silence fell over the room. The only sound was the distant hum of the electronics around them. Kim's eyes widened in disbelief as she echoed his words. "Rotting." "Yes," Destin replied, with his voice dripping with disdain. "You clearly reek of death. Your flesh shows signs of decay. Sure, you can live longer than 25, but who would want to if it means becoming a walking corpse? Alive, but already dead, smelling and looking like that. That's not living." Behind him, the other security officers mumbled in agreement, each taking cautious steps backward as if distance could protect them from some imagined contagion, with their faces twisted with disgust and noses wrinkled as they tried to avoid inhaling the stench. Kim's mouth fell open in shock. No one has ever talked to her in such a way. "Oh, come on now, it's not that bad," she protested, with her cheeks flushing red with embarrassment. John stepped forward, gently placing a reassuring hand on his daughter's shoulder. His touch was calm, his eyes softening as he tried to comfort her. "Easy, hun," he said quietly. "I think we've just gotten accustomed to the smell by now. Clearly we reek, and they cannot know why. I remind you." Kim whipped her head around to glare at her father, her eyes flashing a dangerous look. Some would say, a look that could kill. "Dad," she exclaimed, "you don't tell a lady she reeks." John raised his hands defensively, with a hint of a smile tugging at his lips despite the seriousness of the situation. All right, he conceded. "Maybe it's the lack of showers and that delightful perfume of the jungle mixed with sweat we are sporting. But you cannot tell them the real reason, love. Understand?" Turning back to Destin, Kim refusing to be deterred. "We've been trekking through dense jungle for days, then thrown into a filthy cell and forced to work in your mines. Not exactly a spa day, wouldn't you agree?" A few snickers escaped from the crew behind her, the tension in the room easing slightly as the absurdity of the conversation sank in. Even Tony couldn't suppress a grin, muttering under his breath, "Didn't know our survival hinged on a good deodorant." Destin's expression faltered, with embarrassment creeping into his features as he realized the pettiness of his complaint amidst the looming catastrophe. He cleared his throat, attempting to regain his composure. "Perhaps I was hasty," he admitted reluctantly, "but you have to understand, this is all overwhelming. Everything we've ever known is unraveling before our eyes." Kim's gaze softened slightly, recognizing the fear beneath his bravado. "I get it," she replied, her tone more gentle. "Change is terrifying, especially when it's forced upon you. But clinging to the past won't save you now. We have a chance to build something better, to give everyone here a real life, but we can't do it alone. We need your help." Destin looked around the room, taking in the weary faces of the crew and his own men. Finally, he met Kim's eyes, with a spark igniting within his soul. "All right," he said, nodding slowly. "Tell me what needs to be done." A collective sigh of relief swept through the room as Jackson stepped forward, clapping a hand on Destin's shoulder. "First things first, get your people inside where it's safer. We'll need all hands on deck to evacuate and prepare everyone for what's coming." Destin signaled to his people, who immediately began coordinating the movement of their remaining forces into the chamber. As people streamed in, John turned to Todd. "Any luck stabilizing the system?" Todd shook his head, with his frustration evident. "The AI is only running on basic functions. It's like trying to negotiate with a brick wall. We might have better luck teaching Bob here to dance ballet." Kim smirked, shooting Bob a playful glance. "I'd pay good money to see that." Bob replies, "I think that's your favorite joke, Todd." With a grin on his face, Todd looks over his shoulder. "Yeah, and when it stops being funny, I will stop using it." Bob snorted, crossing his massive arms over his chest. "Hey, I can be graceful when I need to be." Just then, the ground trembled violently beneath their feet, with a deep rumble echoing through the chamber. It felt as if the very core of the island was tearing itself apart. Cracks splintered up the walls, jagged and ominous, racing toward the abyss above with frightening speed. The memory crystals embedded in the structure shook loose, cascading to the ground, their once glowing fragments scattering across the floor like dying embers. Sparks erupted from the exposed wiring within the walls, raining down like a shower of fireflies, dancing and flickering to the sounds of the collapsing chamber. The eerie, cryptic tones of the shifting structure groaned beneath the immense pressure. The sound of metal twisting and stone fracturing filled the air like an otherworldly wail. Each tremor seemed more violent than the last, the entire facility quaking as if on the brink of total collapse. The floor beneath them buckled and heaved, throwing everyone off balance. The once pristine chamber now resembled a battlefield, full of fallen debris and shattered memories. As the dust settled, the holographic interface sputtered back to life. "Alert! Structural collapse imminent. Evacuation protocols recommended. Estimated time to critical failure, 450 minutes. Jackson's face grew serious as he addressed the assembled group. "All right, folks, this is it. We have only a few hours to get everyone out and as far from here as possible. Pair up, gather what supplies you can carry, and prepare to move out." The hologram informs them that all hatches have been opened, and an alert with Jackson's last statement is being broadcast. The message instructs everyone to meet in the main chamber in the crystal cave. You will leave through the mountain. It will be the fastest route. Destin's voice rose above the murmurs. "Security teams, you're on crowd control. Ensure orderly evacuation and assist those who need help. No one gets left behind." As the room erupted into organized chaos, with people scrambling to follow orders and prepare for the exodus, Kim caught her father's eye, a determined glint shining through her exhaustion. "Looks like we're in for one hell of a day." John smiled. Why should today be any different than any other? As the crew joined them in a small laugh, Bob hefted a large pack onto his back, grinning at the pair. "Think they'll mind if I stop for a shower along the way? To spare their delicate noses." Kim chuckled, slapping Bob on the back. "Might take more than one, big guy. But hey, with a fresh start, you could use a fresh smell." I would agree, smiling at him as she passed by. As the crew moved into action, uniting with the people they had once been at odds with, the facility around them groaned and shook, signaling its impending demise. But amidst the turmoil, a newfound hope emerged, a chance for survival, for freedom, and for a life beyond the confines of the underground world they had known. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but together they were ready to face whatever lay beyond the surface. This is not goodbye, nor the end. Until the story continues, my friends. B.N.Rocker.